But then I guess just start off by if each of you can talk about how you got into puppetry or into working with Jim Henson and how you got involved with Fraggle Rock.
Well, I started out as a kid seeing the Muppets on TV, on the Jimmy Dean show and Flip Wilson and Ed Sullivan show. And at the same time, I was very interested in Disney animation, kind of following both of those things as I was growing up. And then I actually tried hand animating something and decided I'd rather try being a puppeteer. So in high school and college, I built my own puppets following Muppet style performing and sent a videotape to the Jim Henson Company in 1979 and got this was right when they were looking for puppeteers for Sesame Street, and I got a call to come and audition with Jim Henson. And so I auditioned with him, worked on Sesame Street for a few years, and then I got a chance to work on, to audition for the International Children's Show, which became Fraggle Rock.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, Karen had an ambition and wanted to be a puppeteer, and she did it. Wow. I never had that ambition at all. nor did I have any plans of being a puppeteer. I just fell into it totally accidentally. In New Orleans, I was an actress, and a woman named Nancy Staub, who was very involved in the beginnings of the Puppetry Center here. And she and Vince Anthony, who runs the Puppetry Center and founded the Puppetry Center, were very big in the live puppet world. And I worked for her, first picked up a puppet in New Orleans 40 years ago. And she was my mentor and taught me, and when I got to New York and needed a summer job one year, she said, "Oh, the Muppets are doing a movie this year. You don't want to work in the shop?" I said, yeah, anything to get a little extra money. And I ended up in the Muppet shop on the Muppet movie, the first Muppet movie. And Nancy nudged Jim and said, "You should audition her." And he did. And he hired me as a puppeteer. And I ended up back on the Muppet Show. And from then on, I was a core performer with Muppets for about 10 years after that, doing everything we did from specials to the films to then Fraggles. And it just was one of those. So I met this man, who is my husband, by the way, and he, oops, I just knocked over the monitor. So let him tell you about his start, and I'll fix this monitor, which I just knocked over.
Many years ago.
There.
I actually started out in children's books. I too had absolutely no idea that I was going to end up in this curious world that, much less this curious world that's right outside those doors. Wow, you guys are all nuts. And I was working at Random House as an editor and art director and illustrator and writer, mostly working with Ted Geisel, Dr. Seuss. And we had a division of Random House called Beginner Books, which you may know of, with the cat in the hat on the cover, those guys. And I was the editor-in-chief of the Beginner Books division of Random House, which sounds very impressive until you realize it consisted of exactly 4 people, Ted Geisel, me, and our 2 assistants. And we had a terrific time putting those books together over many years. And well, by a series of strange coincidences, happened to be introduced to Sesame Street when it was still in the pilot stage because of a friend and neighbor of mine, and thought, wow, this project that they're embarking on here sounds an awful lot like the kinds of things that we've been doing in these beginner books. Maybe I should meet these people. And I did. And as a consequence of that, I started a publishing line with Sesame Street at Random House, which in turn led me to Jim Henson, who immediately started twisting my arm to come and work at the Muppets. And I put him off for a couple of years because I was really enjoying what I was doing in the book world, but eventually he persuaded me. And I spent the next 20-some years as first head of art and design, and then an executive in the company, and a producer, an executive producer, and all that kind of thing. And certainly, a high point, if not the high point of that entire period, was designing and being a co-creator on Fraggle Rock. It was an extraordinary project. Kathy jokingly talking about its great ambitions, but it really did have ambitions when it began. We really thought that, excuse me, through the medium of puppetry, we could make a real difference out there, not just to kids in general, but kids around the world. And it really was designed to be an international children's show that would reach people and teach kids about the interconnectedness of all things. And we had this wonderful, in effect, blank check that we were given to do whatever we wanted to do in this medium, and it was an amazing opportunity for all of us, and one that I think no one who is involved in it will ever forget or regret.
And one of the things that I still find kind of amazing about Fraggles was that it was probably a very small window in history of puppets in media that was able to happen. One, because there was all this development of technology that the Jim Henson Company had done. It was prior to the CGI animation, which Karen can tell you about because that's what she does with her life now. But prior to that, so puppetry was still very important. Jim Henson had gotten to a place where he could command the kind of money it took. There's no way in the world that anybody's going to be able to do a show like Fraggle Rock on the air anymore. The budgets we had were phenomenal. I mean, we were doing a full-on musical puppet show. 3 days of shooting per week. Nobody shoots anything. You shoot it in a day now, the same amount of time, and they're not going to ever give you a budget, no network, for the kind of thing that we did with Fraggles. So, I don't see it ever happening again.
And we had 18 puppeteers at our biggest casting calls for the big group scenes. Again,
and mechanics galore. Those
Yes.
little doozers had incredible mechanics on it, and the Gorgs had
and the
amazing
Gorgs.
mechanics inside them in order to be able to do all the facial moves and all that stuff.
And a full-time shop of the best puppet
Full-time
builders
shop.
in the world.
Costuming.
Always there, continually building. As I was saying the other day at one of these panels, somebody was, asking about, the problems involved in making something like this happen. And I said, problems? Nobody ever said no to anything. There were no problems. Or if there were problems, they were solved instantly. Nobody ever complained. Everyone always said, wow, there's a new challenge. And the next morning you'd walk in and there'd be some extraordinary new puppet, or sometimes a whole new band of puppets that had been simply a line in a script, and they existed.
We would be complaining all the time about, I need another take, just one more, please, please, please. We had 3 days and we were still complaining, right? You do it now and you go, another take, are you kidding? You wouldn't even think about having that. So we were able to hone a performance,
yes.
work together, figure out every move we wanted to make together, and we usually had assistants as well who were working with us.
Yes,
So
yeah.
we didn't have to do it all by ourselves. We had an assistant.
And our experience with the crew on Fraggle Rock was so special. It echoed the ideas of the show of different types of characters interacting with each other.
We were working with Canadians.
But everybody enjoyed learning about each other's work and appreciated each other's work and would make suggestions back and forth without feeling threatened, but just feeling like we were all an equal part of this wonderful recipe that we were concocting. And we just, Jim did an excellent job, as he always did, of selecting a wonderful group of people that would just work well together and be on the same wavelength. So he could just kind of go away and let them do the work he hired them to do. Just trust them to have fun while he could work on other projects.
He let the Fraggles play.
Yes, and the crew is still so close. We just had our 30-year reunion in Toronto, and we had over 100 people getting together. 30 years on, like everybody, the prop people, the camera people, the sound people, everybody. And it was just like we'd been working together yesterday. We could have just pulled out our tools and done another show like that. The spirit is still there. So 30 years on, it's special not only for the audiences that appreciate the show, but the people who created it.
You know, Kathy was saying it was shot in 3 days of production. It was, as far as I know, the first weekly half-hour musical comedy drama ever on television with puppets. So it was one heck of a production, and nobody stinted on anything.
No, it's true. There was no stinting.
Yeah.
There was no cheap going on there. You really had everything we needed. Now, do we want to ask questions? Do you want to see some puppets? What would you like to see? What would you like to see?
Do you have questions before we...
Or do you want to see some puppets?
You knew what the answer was.
Oh, well, you never know.
That was a...
Well, let's reach on down to Fraggle Rock.
That was
and see
one
what we can
softball
find.
Must be a cave down here somewhere. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Why
we
is
found
it
a
here?
Fraggle hole. Let's see if I can find a
How
Fraggle.
surprising.
Oh, look at that! Wow! Hey, Rita, I haven't seen you in a few years.
Yeah, look, see, didn't I tell you? There's these places called cons where all these silly creatures get together. And, well, usually...
But you know what?
Yeah.
It's way sillier than I ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah, silly creatures are even sillier than we thought.
Very much so.
Yeah,
Well, here we are at the convention hall.
in Atalanta.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I like the name of that.
Yes.
And, oh, well.
And this great hall is called Dragon Con, but I haven't seen any dragons yet.
No, we have a great hall, too. I've
We
seen
do?
a dragon there.
Yes.
Yeah, there was once a dragon there, as I recall.
Outside, oh yes.
With no dragons at Dragon Con. How unusual.
And we got to be in that big party this morning, where everybody was all lined up and we had a parade. And everybody was looking at us and clapping, and they recognized us like they'd seen us before, but I don't remember seeing them in Fraggle Rock.
Very fraggly, though.
Yeah.
Very fraggly.
Oh yes.
All that singing and
Lots
dancing.
of music.
Laughing and music.
So much fun.
I guess we are kind of like the silly creatures, aren't we?
Yep.
Anybody
Especially
have
the
any
ones here.
questions for us? From Red?
They've been struck dumb.
You can ask them. Now's your chance.
You can ask Red or Mokey or,
Look, they're all holding
the
those
other
little
people
black
who were
rocks.
here and can come back. Anything.
Oh, the stars, the stars.
Ooh, sparkly flashies.
Okay.
There we go, there's one.
Yeah, your question.
Do you still receive fan mail, fan letters, and from
Do you?
kids now?
Oh, sometimes we get postcards from Uncle Traveling Matt. Is that what you mean?
The other day.
Yeah. All these weird tales about outer space. Oh, this place is
But I don't know
weirder
what
though
a
than his
fan
tales.
is, but if it, I don't know what a fan is, but whatever it is, no.
Hmm.
We don't know.
Unless, are fans the people that were all shouting and yelling at us when we were in the parade? Maybe. In which case, we have a lot of them.
I thought it was one of those blowy things that goes round and round. No? Oh, well. Anyway, guys, my arm's getting real tired.
We had another question.
I'll answer one. Will, she's stronger than me.
So, Fraggles, did you have any particular adventures that were more memorable than others, or some particularly great times?
Here at Dragon Con?
No, I mean, when you were doing the show.
A show? we were just living in Fraggle Rock.
I thought
And
it was
all of
real
you
life.
seem
I
to know
know.
about it. You seem to have seen everything we've done. Huh. But
We had lots of adventures.
we
didn't
had lots of adventures. Oh my gosh.
many adventures
Yes.
underground.
Oh, there was that time that me and Gobo, we fell down the hole to who knows where. But then we found out where it went, and it was okay. It went to the Great Hall. And,
Everything dies.
oh, do you remember the singing cactuses?
No.
Oh, they hypnotized me. we were going on this adventure, and they said, whatever you do, don't interact with the singing cactuses. And sure enough,
Nobody should ever interact with a singing cactus.
I did.
Okay?
And I got
Could be a- could
hypnotized.
be-
Keep that in mind.
But
Could
you
be a
rescued
prickly
me.
situation.
You rescued me.
Well, I'm good.
Whew. Oh gosh. Oh, and we had so many adventures with the Gorgs. There was something about Junior Gorg's radish, Geraldine. And you were talking to him about his radish, Geraldine. It's like his favorite
My
radish.
gosh, she's got a memory. What is with you, Red? You remember everything.
But now I'm kind of annoyed about this. There was this one time where you decided that the Fraggles should not eat Doozer Towers. And you called in Convincing John
I would
to
never
convince
have done
us
that.
not to
I would-
eat
I
Doozer.
would not.
You did. You did. And so we didn't. Because Convincing John, hey, he's convincing, you know? And so we didn't eat
You're
Doozer Towers.
convincing me. I don't know about John, but
And then all of Fraggle Rock filled up with Doozer Towers because we weren't eating them. And then we decided that we weren't going to listen to Convincing John anymore, and we chowed down on all those towers.
Red.
What?
let's go home. You know, you can't take this girl anywhere. She never leaves.
I discovered this thing. There's this thing in outer space called caffeine, and it really keeps me energized.
That's what it is. Okay, now you can ask her questions. Or you can ask.
Does anybody else have another
Those two cute
question?
puppets
We're
are
gonna do
like these.
photos in about 5 minutes, so
What's happening in 5 minutes?
the photo time.
Oh,
You
Good,
guys,
I'm resting
I
my
think
arm
they're
before
gonna take
photos,
down for
okay.
some photos. Yeah, so
So any more questions, you guys? I mean, what would you like to know about, really? We could talk a little bit more for 5 minutes.
I'd like to know what you guys are doing now. Are you performing at all? Are you involved in the poetry art?
Yeah, well, we are. Michael and I are. We have a company called No Strings, which we're going to do a panel on tomorrow. We do puppet videos for kids in at-risk in developing countries. And we're about to shoot 2 next week, believe it or not. 2 short films, puppet films, it's all puppetry, for the refugee kids in Syria. We're going to do one on trauma and one on social conflict peace building. And we're madly trying to finish the puppets for those right now. And we shoot, it's all completely the same Muppet style you're used to. We have full production, and we...
and terrific people, again, the best puppet people in the world
Yeah,
that come
everybody.
together
Karen
to
hasn't
work
had
on
a chance
these.
to do one yet, but
Yeah.
Peter Linz, who you may or may not know, he will be with us this time. You know, we call all our old friends in, and they come and do it for literally.
And the
next
great
to nothing.
costume designers and builders and all of them. It's part of a library that's been growing for a while now. It started with a film for kids in Afghanistan on landmines and moved on to the Pacific Rim with films on natural disasters, typhoons and mudslides and volcanoes and those kinds of things, and then HIV and AIDS for kids in Africa, and then a series for kids in Haiti on the terrible problems that they have there. And so right now, alas, one of the real hot spots is the Syria and the refugee children, so that's our next project.
Anyhow, they're in, 15 countries in 24 languages, and they travel well because it's video. It travels well.
Yeah. Because it's video and because it's puppets,
Because it's
they're
puppetry.
absolutely universal.
Yeah. So as any puppet people here know, puppets is really one of the best ways to get across to kids in any country. So it's been incredibly successful as a way of getting our messages across to these kids. And it's wonderful.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Anybody else?
well, Karen, what are you doing now?
Go ahead, Karen.
I think I'll go back to Fraggle Rock. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of talking. Bye, everybody!
God knows, Red doesn't like to talk.
So I have actually just recently realized that I have been computer animating longer than I was working as a full-time puppeteer. I worked with the Muppets regularly for 16 years. Mainly Fraggle Rock I'm known for, but also Labyrinth and Muppets Take Manhattan, a few movies after Jim passed away. And then in the mid-90s, when computer animation started to replace puppetry, I worked for a while at Tippett Studio, animated on Enchanted, animated on Jerry's Game at Pixar, the little man that plays chess, and Bugs Life, a little bit on Monsters Inc. At DNA, I animated on The Ant Bully. And now I am working at a video game company called Valve in Seattle. I animated, if any of you know the game Portal 2, I animated Wheatley, the spear, in like the first half of the game. And was able to, everything came full circle. I was able to use my puppeteering techniques to bring this, basically a mechanical eyeball to life. He had no mouth, no body, and he talked nonstop. But just some of the same principles of, that we use with performing the heads of puppets, I was able to apply to him. So that's what I'm currently doing, although now with the Fraggle anniversary, there's more chances to get back to do promo things with puppets, and it's just like riding a bicycle. You put the puppet on, it's like boom, it's right there. So it's been a joy to be able to get back to that.
The only thing that's not right there is the strength of your arm.